Hi viewers, welcome to NCKHUB. If you like our videos, kindly do subscribe and follow us. Thank you.
Today we are going to discuss about networking. Networking plays a crucial role in building a network with subnets, mask nets, or it can be public, private, or any type of IP address, where it evaluates into an instance, and finally it can be an container IP address, or it can be an pod address, or entirely to build or create a structure for a cloud networking. Network elements plays a crucial role. Welcome back to the today's session, guys. We are going to discuss today about Azure networking. Azure networking, as part of Microsoft Azure, we have different services available under Azure networking. So if we can navigate to the Azure networking, we are having certain different sub elements or the services under the networking where we can do create and map our networking to load balancers or application gateway or managing the NAT gateways, internet, where virtual network will connect to the private link and domain name servers or a bastion hosts or a bastion servers. Likewise, we can do create hybrid connectivity, network security, network management, and all these network we can do monitor using the network monitor as well. So this is about the theory of networking. So here I am going to share in this video about the documents today in this session with Microsoft document which is related to the networking. So altogether, Azure Virtual Network, it provides different features and concepts which works with different levels or layers of subnets where we can do secure our networking and we can do manage our entire elements of subservices. So before starting the session, guys, I just want to give you a small basic definition of Azure networking. Network or an environment that can be used to run the virtual machines in the cloud. So that is a virtual network. This virtual network is part of the service inside Microsoft Azure. So if you can see, this is part of Microsoft documentation where you will be getting this link to the video in the description. We will do attach. So we will jump back to our networking event. So from the all services, you can do navigate it to the networking. Left hand side, you can see all services. So here there is a networking element, guys. So under the networking, you can see there are different main services: network foundation, hybrid connectivity, and network security, and load balancing, and content delivery, monitoring, and also additional networking services. Recently, it has been added with a third party, that is Nginx. So under this one, guys, today we are going to have a look about how to create and map our virtual network with /8, and we can do see how we can do map our network with different data centers. These things we are going to have a look, and we are going to look into security part as well. So let's start our session practically. More to it gives a more technical understanding. So if you can see under the network foundation, you can see there are different sub-services. You can see NAT gateways, public IP addresses, private link network managers, public IP addresses, private DNS. All these are part of a network foundation to create a foundation for the network. To create a foundation initially for the network, we need initially a network buildup. So that buildup gives a virtual network. So we are going to create a virtual network. For that virtual network, we have to create and or associate subnets. Here subnets are piece of network where it will be having certain slash of addresses, those we will be calling it as CIDR ranges, classless interface domain ranges. Those domain ranges are going to integrate or connect to the in different subnet levels from the master network. That master network we will be calling here it as a virtual network. Under the virtual network, we will be having subnets. Those subnets we will do map it to the route tables, and those route tables will be managed to connect to the public or private IP address depending upon its level of public access and private access. So let's start the session, guys. Let's create it practically. So now click on virtual network. So this is the virtual network which you can see. So here on my left hand side of the screen, you can see there is a create symbol. So this create, once we do click on it, it will be prompted with the different tabs. You can see basic, certain options we have to select. Next, security, IP address, tags. Finally, we have to review and create. Later after that one, we will do discuss about virtual network description with respect to the simple sample elements, what it contains. So if you can see, guys, virtual network is the fundamental networking part to create a structure or create entire a building block for a network. Virtual network plays a crucial role. If a network is not there, means we cannot create any sort of IP addresses, and we cannot manage our internet. Either it can be public or private, or it can be an on-premise network also. So traditionally, network plays a crucial role in building entirely a cloud platform or an on-premise platform. We need a structure. That structure here we are calling it as a virtual network. So if we jump into the details, so initially we have to add our subscription. If you are using for practice purpose, you're in your account, you have to add pay as on go. Next, already we have a resource group. That resource group I have already attached. If you are planning to create, you can do create a new resource. So here you have to add a virtual network name. So here you can do add, either you can do follow uppercase or lowercase. VNET, I am adding here series. VNet Azure series. So next comes the region. So this region or a data center plays a crucial role. So if you create it in a west region, it will be created with respect to the west locality. If you create in Qatar Central, it will be located in Saudi area of Qatar. Similarly, if you create it in Mexico or Poland or Germany, likewise, a region or a data center plays a crucial role, where we will be having a different set of racks. Those racks will store the in the particular region the network, whatever we have to manage and map our entire structure of the cloud platform. This data center plays a crucial role. So depending upon your requirement, you need to select the required region. So this region I am going to use as part of the series is US East. So I'm going to select the same. Next, I will be clicking on next tab. So next tab is the security. So under the security, we will be having a certain different level of entities. One is Bayesian, another one is virtual network encryption, where we have to secure our TCL or SSL or TLS protocols. Certain depend secured services will be there. Those services we have to secure in a proper way. If we are mapping our public IP address, then definitely we have to secure our where it should be when it is exposed. It should be in a safe, secured way. It should not be hacked. Likewise, we have to secure our networks as well. Similarly, we will be having an Azure firewall as well. Firewall plays a crucial role where it doesn't allow any type of third-party entities like inbound groups or outbound groups. If we are allowing a third-party private networks to secure our network, we have to enable these firewalls. So these firewalls plays a crucial role. Next one is a DDoS. So in case of any DDoS attacks may happen. So during that point of time, to secure our data protection with respect to data security, whenever a malicious attempt or a hacking attempt may happen, this distributed denial of service, which is a DDoS, will target to the particular level of server, and it will secure large amount of traffic when it is being targeted. This DDoS will help. It should not be attacked, or it should not be hacked by the some hackers. So this DDoS we have to enable in terms of data protection layer, which altogether, if you are enabling, it means it is a paid service. Kindly please make sure whenever you are working this. Next. So depending upon your required layer, if your traffic is exposing, then enable your network protection. If you are using Bastion, this is a paid service. Bastion is like if you are connecting to any Linux server or a Windows server, that server needs to be protected. Then Bastion will work as a Bastion, like a jump server, where you can securely log into your machine where third-party resources cannot log into this. Likewise, you can secure your Bastion host by enabling this one, or else you can do enable firewalls as well, where we can do enable our firewalls, and you have to select your tier, which is depending upon your uh, payment services which you have opted, that you can do securely select and you have to allow the certain standard policies as well. So if you are selected standard, then you have to select. If you are selected premium, you can do select it. And if your IP addresses are there, you can see here, there will be certain range of IP addresses where already you are having a network. Then you are want to secure your public IP address. Then you can do create one public IP address, and you can do add it by adding a name, and with this standard protection will be provided from the Microsoft Azure. Likewise, you can do secure it and save it. So DDoS and other which I have already conveyed about Bastion are chargeable services. So as of now in this session, we are going to enable virtual network, encryption, and also firewall service. Next, click on next. So if you are opting a virtual network to build a network, we will be having certain range of network of IP addresses. Those IP addresses we are going to check out in our documentation. So if you can see here, virtual networks, whenever we are creating virtual network, always it is recommended to follow different address of CIDR ranges, which will be having a certain routable addresses and also non-routable addresses, with private and public manageable addresses will be there, where certain addresses which you can't take, or you can't consider it as a service to yourself. So those addresses are multicast address, broadcast, loopback, and link local and internal DNS. So these addresses which you can see, guys, this is very crucial. Always remember, it might be an interview question as well. What are the different addresses you can't add it to your range of address? Are multicast, broadcast, link local, loopback, and internal DNS. These addresses you can't add it to your addresses range with your CIDR range. So the addresses which with different prefixes or different CIDR ranges which you can do account it a part of these addresses to your services are 10.0.02, 10.255.255.255 with /8, /16, /24, whatever you want to prefer. Accordingly, depending upon your requirement, you can do opt it. So here 10 dot, which starts and ends at 255, and similarly 172.16 and so on to 172.31. These number of IP addresses you can do create. Similarly 192.168.0.0, 192.168.255.255. These resources you can do assign, either it can be to your private address or a public address. You can do create it as per your necessity and requirements. And any other knowledge or extra knowledge you want related to these addresses, you can go very initially how to create an IP address. A video already we have prepared in our other content, where how to create a networking and we can do address and know about an IP address, how it can be created. We have created a different video. That link will be added to the description. You can go and get an idea with a simple math calculation and and understanding about CIDR range, how an IP address can be understand. We have created a different video that you can do go through and you will get a better understanding how this IP address will be finally evolved, how it can be created. If it is existing overlapped addresses are there, then you have to check that one as well. So this is about understanding about subnets and the range of IP addresses, guys. Now quickly go back to the virtual network. So here, if you are opting in your US East 1 region, it should not be overlapped with other things. You have to check it out. And if you want to prefer here a 16 address or 8, anything you can do, take it, guys. So if you want to add more subnets, you can do add another subnets. So if you can check here, configure a virtual network space with IPv4 and IPv6. So IPv4 and IPv6 are part of IP addresses with version 4 and version 6, where we will be having an hexadecimal and other thing will be specified with a quote with a colon where IP address will be specified with IPv6 address. Recently, you can see geo IP address. Simply, you can do search. Where is my IP address? Example, if you can see like this, I'm showing it my IPv6 address. Sorry. So this is my what is my IP address where you can do check. So this is my IPv6 address, which you can see it designate. So likewise, we will be having a differentiation as well. You can go through and understand about the internet protocol address, what is v4 and v6. Next, coming back to addresses of subnet. So if you want, already we have created an Azure firewall subnet. That subnet is being displayed here, guys, where this is being created from our previous, where we have selected, if you can see, this is the one where we have created certain Azure firewall series. That firewall is going to secure our network with this firewall subnet. So this firewall subnet, if you want to change this one, instead of using /16, you can do change it to the /8. So particularly in this range of address, your IP address is going to secured with these level of subnet addresses. And if you want to keep it default, so here like this, you can do make default addresses. So if you can ask me the question, who will designate or who will decide what level of CIDR ranges? It entirely depends upon your requirement, guys. You need to talk with your management what range of IP addresses that will be chargeable and which are not chargeable. Better always to take large number of IP addresses depending upon your project requirement and select the required range region as well. Next, once you do select that one, go to the tags. Add a tag to the IP address by creating a name. For example, I am adding the IP address name here, guys. VNET address. So I'm just clicking on next. I'm just now reviewing and creating. Finally, we will be creating. So if you can see, this is the template. What we are going to, this is pay as on go service. The next region, Bastion is disabled, but firewall is enabled. Accordingly, we have selected our firewall group as the IP addresses, which is there one default address, and another one is the secured firewall subnet we have created. And next, I have added a name as well, that is VNet. Finally, I'm going to click on create. So now the virtual network is going to create and going to deploy into US East region where virtual network will be created soon. So when it launches, you can see the deployment is in progress, is being loading. After it launch, we can check it out by going into the template where we can do automate it by using Terraform or PowerShell. Also, we can do create an ARM template and we can do create, guys. That you guys have to remember. There is an automation behind this as well where we can do create using infrastructure as a service, which you can do call as infrastructure as code. Likewise, using Terraform code, we can do create as well. So once it is completed with its deployment virtual network, so firewall is being created as of now. Next, we'll check it out the network and public addresses. As of now, it is going to create. Next, we can do check it out by attaching it to inputs and what are the outputs. And we can have a look at the ARM template as well. So this is the ARM template. So where it contains these many resources about the network. So you can, if you want, you can do copy this template let me take it to you in understanding how an ARM template looks when we do create a virtual network. So it's opening from my end. I'm just opening my notepad. Let's give it some time. Yeah, it's had open, guys. So if you can see, guys, this is the ARM template. So it contains a schema where this schema is from the Microsoft Azure. The template will be stored in the form of a JSON. From there, it is going to get the details. It is having certain parameters where the resources will be created with Azure Virtual Network name, and the tags will be associated, and the address space with prefix 10.1.16. Similarly, objects will be assigned, and it has an encryption, allow or drop, or allow or by inbound or outbound group. Likewise, and similarly, you can do check subnets with different ranges of address, firewalls, DDoS. Likewise, you can do check. This is how an ARM template will, Azure template will resource look like. ARM template, which you can do call it as Azure Resource Management. So now let me go to the overview, guys. So finally, it is going to create. So as of now, it is just building a firewall at the back end. It is in progress. So deployment is in progress, you can see. And already the operational details with Azure VNET series with virtual network has been created, and also firewall with public IP addresses has been created. We will just go through in the meantime to the Azure VNet-Azure series where we have created certain network. That network we are going to have a look now. So this is a VNet Azure series, guys. So this is the virtual network Azure series. The virtual network which we have created is there with certain subscription ID, and this is the domain name server for this, and the address range which we have selected is 10.10.01/16. So the region which you can see, this is the US East. So for this one, we have enabled already Azure Firewall. You can see that is configured. So for the same, if you want to check it out, by default, Microsoft Defender is there. If you want to configure it and allow it, you can do allow it with certain ranges as well, guys. If you want to configure your peering networks, DDoS, all these you can do. Check it out. So now for this virtual network, who can authorize and who cannot should authorize, we can do go and attach the same with our IAM network as well, where to our network we can do allow and authorize our IAM policies, who can view and who can check the access, all these things. If you want to add a role assignment like this, previously we have discussed about, hence the reason an IAM role, which is required and which functionality is not required, we have seen. We can do add for this network to allow policies, Azure contributor and Azure center, Red Hat virtual contributor. Likewise, any service which is required, we have to check it out, and accordingly we can do add. I am going back as of now. I'm not going to add anything as of now. If you want to add, we can add our role assignment with previously created resources. Likewise, by going into the role assignments, if we already we have one assignment role, you can see this is the role what we have owner. That owner can be assigned to this one, where we have created a certain user, that owner role. Likewise, we can do attach. If you want to deny any other assignments also, you can do deny by creating it one. And if you want to check the roles like owner, contributor, developer, API management, automation. Likewise, multiple roles you can do attach with an IAM role. By attaching that role to the network, we can do add, guys. Hence the reason IAM or Entra ID, which we have seen previously, that plays a crucial role. If you want to look into the how to create an IAM role group user, you can do check it out our previous day 4, day 5, day 6 sessions where we have discussed about how to create a role groups, all these details. Those links also we will be attaching to our video, guys. So come back to our virtual network, which we have created just now. So this is the topology as of now, you can do see. So let me showcase it to you. I'm going to expand the topology just to showcase you. So this is the US East region where we have created or build up our network. So this is the geographical map location. So for this one, our network has been started creating. So if we want to add insights or monitor, we have to configure our monitor like this. So I am going back now and let's check it out the properties. If you can see here, there are two subnets. So the subnets which we have added, if you can recall or remember, one is firewall subnet to secure our network and another one is default subnets we have attached. So those are the two subnets which you can do see. Next, now I am going back. So address place which we have selected, space which we have selected is /16 address. And this is having DNS name and DNS servers. And if we have any peering connection, if we want to connect to the other people, we can add the peering connection as well. And let's check it out, capabilities. So these are the capabilities which we are allowing firewall. If you want to peer connection or DDoS, likewise we can do. And if you want to check it out, any recommendations to add cost-wise, security-wise, we can go for the recommendations where Microsoft Azure provides the certain recommendations as well. So this is about how a virtual network can be created, how to understand networking components of master network, which is virtual network, and the subnets. So these are mapped with certain route tables at the backend, and finally a public IP address will be created, guys. Those things we have to map on our own. Next, after this one, you can do check out the tags as well. So this is the tag which we have created. Here there is small spelling mistake. I'm going to just apply it, VNet address. So here left hand side, if we can do enable our settings, you can do check here address space. If you want to check it out your address spaces, you can how many IP address are going to map and what are the connections are going to build or create, you can do check. Left hand side subnets. In case of any IP address is created, that will showcase to in connected devices. So these are the subnets. Now if you want to create a gateway subnet, so then you have to build a gateway subnet. That gateway can be an private network gateway or public network gateway or Azure Bastion network. Likewise, a route server routing to different networks. Likewise, we can do create it. If you want to allow it with a default, then definitely you have to allow a default gateway subnet. So let's check it out. So example, if you can check this one, Azure firewall subnet, this will be created with certain subscription with firewall subnet. So this firewall is used for protecting the subnets. So this is the subnet which we have taken, and these number of IP addresses ranges we have to create, and these will be secured. If you are allowing for a default subnet, 251 IP addresses will be available with /24 range of IP addresses. This will be there with a default network. You can see here default. So if you want to create a multiple subnets like this, any Bastion host subnet, likewise you can do create everything firewall, route server. If you want to create a route, those will be mapped to the master network. It will be. So these subnets now who can do manage and who cannot do manage, that entirely depends upon our users. So hence the reason we have discussed in our previous session, guys, how can we add an IAM user, how to discuss about a role. Those roles we have discussed in our previous session. Kindly please go through and you can do check it out that view access, who can allow and who cannot allow. Likewise, you can do add as well. Now coming back, if you have any private endpoints, those private endpoints and service endpoints you have to collect. These are called network endpoints. These we will are going to have a look in our coming sessions. As this is first session of virtual network, we are going to just discuss today about how a virtual network can be created, understanding about a subnet and IP addresses and IPv4 and IPv6, and looking at the properties and settings of the virtual network. So I'm concluding today's session here, guys. This is about how can we manage a virtual network in an Azure. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening to the session and Thank you for subscribing and listening to our videos and watching our channel to the NCK Hub. If you want like this more and more videos, kindly please do subscribe our channel NCK Hub and give a thumbs up and share it to others as well. Knowledge sharing plays a very good thing in expanding our career growth. So kindly please share your knowledge to others as well. Thank you. Bye everyone.